And now for our last speaker this afternoon. Not me, it's someone after me. I was thinking about, I never get around this many politicians at any one time, or policy doers. And so I was thinking about something I heard one day. You may have heard this before, and if you did, please forgive me. But there was a former Speaker of the House who died and went to the gates of St. Peter. She had served for some time, was from, I think, California or something. I can't remember. But anyway, so she died, and she went to the gates of St. Peter, and St. Peter met her there and basically said, now, you know, you're going to have to make a choice here. And she said, really? She said, yeah. She said, can I use a committee or a task force? They said, no, you have to do this yourself. So they said, before you go to heaven, we'd like you to experience what hell is like. And so she said, well, okay, do I get a choice of going to both places? He goes, get to go to both places, try them out, and then you make the choice at the end. She said, okay. So he said, are you all ready to go to hell? And she said, yes. So she got in the elevator, and she went down, and door opened, and she's out at this country club. People walking around with mint juleps, and everybody's dressed really well, well-heeled. She knew a lot of people there. There were a lot of friends. And a very receptive crowd. And she spent a great day there. I mean, absolutely fantastic time, and just enjoyed herself to death. She came back up in St. Peter's there. I said, what do you think? She goes, it was great. I couldn't believe it. She said, I loved it. So he said, now you get to spend a day in heaven. So she went to heaven, and of course heaven was heaven. It was perfect. You know, everything was wonderful, and not a bad thing happened anywhere. And so she spends the day there, and she gets back, and he said, how'd you like that? She said, well, it was perfect. It was perfect. He said, well, you know, at that point where, you know, which one would you like to stay in forever? She said, well, I want to go to hell. And he said, well, are you sure? And she said, well, yeah. So he said, well, here you go. So she gets in the elevator and heads down, gets down, the door opens up, and there's this parched wasteland. There's the devil with these horns and huge feet, looks like a mean Ronald McDonald, and coming at you, you know, and people walking around, fire everywhere, ball and chain to their legs, I mean, just horrible thirst, torment everywhere. And she goes, whoa, wait a minute. This isn't what I saw yesterday. He said, well, yesterday was the campaign, today's the election. Just a thought, just a thought. Anyway, with that, a guy who's run in a few of those kind of campaigns and every now and then thinks that Washington might be hell, I'm not sure, but he is a representative originally of the 4th Congressional District. In fact, I had to do a debate back in, I think, around 2012. When he first ran for this, he had already been a state representative of some note, and there were about, I think I was the only one not running that year. It seemed like there were about 30,000 candidates on stage. There were about 7, actually. But I got done doing the debate, and I didn't know anything about this guy, other than what I had read about him. And we got done with the debate, and I looked at my friend who was doing the debate with me, and I said, you know what? There's the winner. There's the guy that's going to be our next representative. And Scott Perry was that guy. Well, due to some famous congressional redistricting, he's now the head of the 10th Congressional District. He's won there a few times right now. He also has served our country valiantly over the years and just retired in 2019 after 40 years of active service. He was a brigadier general, promoted to that in 2014. He is a man who has made a lot of friends and a bunch of enemies also in Washington for standing up for what he believes in. He's a guy that I have talked to and actually can call a friend and think that he stands for the right kinds of things and continues to stand for the kind of public policy that I think we're all looking for people to do when they're in Washington. He and his wife, Christy, are the proud parents of 2 children. I have no clue what their names are right now, and I don't know what their family pet's name is, but I do know what his name is because he stands for the right kind of stuff. He is Scott Perry, Congressman of the 10th Congressional District. Please give him a great round of applause.
Hello, good afternoon. 32 years of PLC. It's great to see you. My daughter's names are Ryan and Matea. One is Little Ruler, the other means Little Ruler, the other means Gift of God. And I know that in this day and age, we're not allowed to say God, but here I think we are, so we appreciate that. I want to talk to you about a bunch of different things today. I can barely see you out there, but I know you're there. And my theme for today's talk is going to be that our country and our Constitution, like they're under assault, right? They're under attack. And I just want to kind of postulate some things for you to think about. So I'm a proud Republican. I have been so since first grade. I know when I became a Republican. I do. That's literally we had to pick back at the time, and this is a long time ago for a lot of you folks, but we had to pick, when you're in school, they do that thing where they do kind of like, this is what you stand for, and this is what you agree with, this is who you are. And I remember I went home, and I told my mom, I said, who are you going to vote for? Well, she didn't come up with the right name, and I was like, ugh, this is not good. And that's where, I guess, the politicking began for me. I didn't realize it at the time, but that's where the lobbying began. Now, things were different back then. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Things were different back then. So when you lost the election, right, whether you were Democrat or Republican, you said, well, yes, but we're going to be the loyal opposition. That person won, that party won, but we're going to be the loyal opposition. You think about that. Loyal opposition. Well, we're going to be loyal to the country because we love our country, but we're opposed to that person and their policies, right? And we kind of lived under that program, both Democrats and Republicans, for a long time. And you were cordial with one another, right? You disagreed on how you wanted to get to the end of the road, but you, generally speaking, wanted to get to the same place at the end of the road because you were all loyal to the country. Ladies and gentlemen, things have changed. You know this, right? It's not the loyal opposition anymore. It's just the opposition. Just the opposition. When we've got people say, you look around and people come to me legitimately and say, well, how can this be good? Why would they do this? Why would they print all this money? Because they know it's going to increase inflation. Why would they open the border? Because they know people are going to come here illegally, including terrorists and criminals. Why would they? Why would they? Why would they? Why would they close the Keystone Pipeline but let Russia open Nord Stream 2? Why would they do that? Because it's an anathema to us. We can't believe, we can't accept, we just can't imagine that our neighbor, we might be Republican, we might be conservative, our neighbor who we might have a hot dog and a nice tea with might be a Democrat or a liberal, but we're still neighbors in the same country. Why would they do that? Ladies and gentlemen, there's a plan. And it's and this is what we want to talk about. This is what I want to talk to you about today is that Republicans, conservatives, people that love the country, patriots, because they'll tell you they're patriots. But the patriots, like the patriots in this room, must acknowledge that things are different now. They want to destroy the country that you grew up in. They want to destroy the country that the founders made. That is their plan. That is their goal. That's why they're doing these things. Just don't make any bones about it. Don't question yourself. You know in your heart. You know in your heart that's the answer. That's why they're doing these things. Now, does that mean America is not going to exist? No. They want America to be here, and they want to be in charge of it, but the America that you grew up in, that's not what they're interested in. Now, you will say, well, it's unfair. Look, I just sat through a markup from 10 o'clock in the morning one day to 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning the next day, and some of the discussion was, you can't paint all the Democrats that way. We were having a discussion about some amendment. You can't say, that's not fair. You can't say all Democrats are for defunding the police. That's what it was about, right? But I can say that only Democrats are for defunding the police. Why would you do that? Why would you do? I can say that, and I can say this too. That maybe not all Democrats are, but the Democrat Party is for the things I've already talked about because they're not doing anything to stop those things. And so we can acknowledge that maybe not every one of them is that way, but it doesn't matter, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter if that's what's happening. And we've seen this throughout history, right? Not every member, citizen in Germany in the 1930s and 40s was in the Nazi Party. They weren't. But what happened across Germany? That's what's important. What were the policies? What was the leadership? That's what we have to focus on. And so Republicans need to start looking at things differently because we can't fight the new war We can't fight the new adversary with the old tactics, and that's what we're doing. In my opinion, that's what we've been doing. For the issues of comity, well, we want to get along and we want to be bipartisan. We want to be, do you know what I'm talking about? When I just did an interview with a local TV host who kind of brushed on the bipartisan issue. Now, thinking most of you in the room are conservatives, and all of us are conservatives have to be bipartisan. We have to be, right? The media says so. Do you know, did you ever, tell me when the last time you saw a news anchor ask a Democrat, elected Democrat, or one that was running for office about being bipartisan? Tell me, not the last time, tell me the first time, tell me any time. It doesn't happen, ladies and gentlemen. We're supposed to be bipartisan, and you know why we're supposed to be that? Because the media says so. Well, you know what? The world has changed. The loyal opposition is just the opposition, and the media, not the news media, no disrespect unless it's warranted to the people in the back of the room there, you know, just because they say so doesn't mean it is so. We don't have to, as public officials, we don't have to, as citizens, run or get our information through their filter anymore. We don't have to do that, and we should stop doing that, and we should stop listening to them. And I will tell you this, your elected officials at any level, if they are doing things to curry favor, and when I say curry favor, to be not as criticized, or to not be criticized as much by those folks back there, that's somebody I'm looking at, right? People say to me, well, we can't do it that way because the media is going to say this, this, and this. I got a news flash for everybody. The media is going to say this, this, and this anyhow. Just do the right thing. They're going to say it. We have to be bold enough, strong enough, tough enough, courageous enough to say this is the right thing. And I will tell you this, you know in your communities, if you're in this room, you're a leader. If you're in this room, you're a community leader, and the people around you, whether they're in your families, whether they're in your businesses, whether they're your acquaintances, they're looking for someone to lead because they're scared. They're scared, and they don't know anyone else will do it, and they don't think that there's anyone like them. They think they're all alone. But when you stand up and you say, I don't believe what the media is saying about COVID-19, about masks, about the debt, about inflation, about North Korea, about China, about Russia, about President Trump. I don't believe it. Well, they think, I'm not the only one. That's what it has to get to, ladies and gentlemen, because the country is at a precipice. It is at a precipice. If we look around, you know what I'm talking about. We've watched it during our lifetimes, the takeover of academia, what they're teaching our children. You know, you raise your child, and you do a good job, and they got a good head on their shoulders, and they go off to college, and they come home, somebody you no longer recognize, right? They've got academia. They're replacing the boardrooms right now. If anybody watched the recent election to the Exxon board. Exxon is a fossil fuel company, ladies and gentlemen, but they just had a hostile takeover of their board, two of the board spots, the people that want Exxon to be zero carbon. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not a joke, right? And so they've got the media, they've got entertainment, they've got all these things. And we've stood by and tried to be decent neighbors to the people that are destroying our country for most of our lives for the sake of comity, for the sake of getting along with these folks. Well, now we watched this defund the police, this movement, right? And we watched what happened last summer for about 150 days when the federal courthouse under siege by armed insurrectionists, and nothing happens. Nothing happens to these people. They're serious about this, and they're going to continue coming, and the only reason that they are is they're emboldened. We haven't stopped them in the past, and now they're just taking the next logical steps. The police, and you know the other one. I'm a guy who's proud to have worn the uniform of the United States Army for almost 4 decades. But if you look at what's happening to the military right now, and you know why it's happening? Because the left will not tolerate dissent, will not tolerate it. and they certainly won't tolerate dissent with those in arms. They're coming for your Second Amendment. They're coming for your First Amendment right now. It's happening right now. They're not doing it themselves, right? The federal government isn't doing it, but the boardrooms are doing it. And you know where else this happened? Right? It wasn't the government in Germany that took the people's rights away immediately. It was fascism. Fascism took it away because the government put the heavy hand on the companies, and the companies did the government's work. Well, look around, ladies and gentlemen, right? Look around and you say, well, Perry, you sound like you're anti-fascist. Are you for Antifa? Ladies and gentlemen, Antifa comes from Germany in the 30s. That's where it comes from. They were anti-fascist. They were pro-Stalin. No, I'm not for Antifa. I'm not for any of this totalitarian stuff. We have to recognize what's in front of us and who we are as a party, and that has to change. It just has to change. We have always been, in my mind, who I think we are now. We just have failed to recognize it on occasion. Look, you guys know a little bit about me. My mom's a single mom working 3 jobs, Colombian, Italian, American, got 2 kids, ran away, had to flee my father and her own father from abuse. That's how we got to Pennsylvania. So this is how the American dream can be realized. And I knew in first grade that I was a Republican because we are the party of the people that are down here in the bottom, loving their country, doing things the right way by hard work, put your nose to the grindstone, stay clean, follow the law, follow the rules, and if you do something with your life, you will be something. That's who we are. Republicans need to recognize that. Now, have we also been the party of business and big business? Yes, we have. You know what? Because businesses hire people that are trying to find their way to the top. That's what businesses do. But things are changing, and things have changed. We should no longer be, and look, I'm a great fan and a great friend of Gene Barr, the chairman of the Pennsylvania Chamber of Commerce. But the United States Chamber of Commerce is not our friend. It's not the Republican Party's friend, and we should quit listening to them. Their position on importing cheap labor and putting all our kids who are trying to get their start in life out of work is not a position that we should be supporting. We should not support them. We should not be supporting big tech. Yes, is it big business? Absolutely, and business and big business hires Americans, as they should, and we appreciate that. But when they side up with China and put China in the front seat of America and before America, we should be done with them, and we should be unafraid to go out and say, we're done with you, and we're coming for you. Listen, folks, I just got a couple minutes. Do I have a couple minutes or a couple minutes more, Loman? Oh, well, I can keep going. I can keep going. You got to call it out for what it is, right? We support big business, but not if it's anti-America, not if it's anti-American, and we shouldn't be afraid to say it. What I find, and I think what you find, is that look, you're going to see a lot of them here. You already have probably seen a few. There are great people that stand at this podium and say, if you elect me, this is what I'm going to do. And I bet a lot of them sound just like me. They do, right? We're all kind of this, we believe the same things. And then they get elected, right? You elect them. They get to township supervisor, they get to state representative, state senator, governor, United States senator, president of the United States, and they don't do. You're like, wait a minute, I thought he said, or I thought she said, Senator. And somehow they all come back and they say, look, it's complicated. We couldn't do it because we just had an election a couple weeks ago after the 2020 election and that debacle in my county, which I'm very proud of. We ran out of ballots for Republicans. I'm sorry, we ran, does anybody not know what just happened? Is anybody not watching what's happening here? And so I'm on a call about this, and I hear, it's complicated. It's complicated. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the problem. It isn't complicated. Here's the deal. The Constitution says it's voting day. Verify who you are, that you belong voting in this country because you're a citizen. Go to the polls on election day and vote, and then walk back out. Uncomplicated. Uncomplicated. You know, if you are running for township supervisor and somebody asks you, what do you stand for? And you say, well, look, I think we ought to be strong against Israel. Great position, so do I. Not your job as township supervisor. You know the job. Well, I'm serious, because you're going to ask, and you should ask, but you wonder what question to ask, because it's hard to cut the wheat from the chaff here, because we all started out up here trying to get you to believe in us because we want to go make a difference, because we're as angry and as frustrated as you are, and we love our country, and we want to save it. But somehow that doesn't happen. So you got to figure out what the question is to ask. And to me, the question to ask is, somehow, because you want to get this answer, if this is their answer, when you say, well, what would you do? Or what's your purpose as an elected official? Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, I knew it would be here. This is the Constitution of the United States of America. You can see, it's not a thick book. I mean, if you can read, it doesn't take long. Our job up here in these jobs is to secure your rights. That's our job. We're not to tell you when you got to wear a mask and you can't send your kids to school, not to be your kids' parents. That's not our job. Our job is to secure your rights, and anything more than that, you could say, well, we need some kind of government. We do. The Founding Fathers, at some point before them, they tried no government, and it didn't work out. So we need some government, but there has to be a limit, and all of us can't come up to you in front of you and say, well, we're for limited government, and then we go to Washington, D.C., or we go to Harrisburg, or we go to our township or our borough, and then come back to you and say, well, look, it's complicated. Yeah, we get it's complicated. We hired you to be our voice to work it out because we don't want it to be complicated. I don't want to have to get a permit to put a screen door on my house so I can give my township $25 so they can run the place. Just be honest about you need money to run the township and what you need it for, and let me put my darn screen door on. If I put it upside down, that's my problem. I don't need government involved. We got to change our party, ladies and gentlemen. We got to make some distinctions, and we can't be afraid. We can't be afraid. I will tell you, Gary talked about it. I was so proud to. I never planned to run for office. I never planned to. Carol Henry made me do it. No, that's not true, but she's sitting here. I was a guy that grew up, had dirt underneath my fingernails, and people like me didn't run for office. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any money. I didn't know anything, right? But this is America, and you can be anything that you want to, and you got to figure out what your point and what your place here in this fight is. But I'm going to tell you this: if we don't fight for our country now, right now, with everything we have, I will tell you, there's not many stories, but there's one. I was in Harrisburg. I was picked by leadership on a leadership committee. I know you can't believe that because I certainly didn't deserve it. I'm a little bit of a rabble-rouser, and they don't like people they can't control, but they didn't know that at the time when they picked me, right? And this still haunts me to this day, but there was something that I was opposed to. Leadership had lied to me about not running the bill. Then they ran it. You know the old story. I'm in the Army. They said, well, look, we didn't lie to you. The truth just changed, so just deal with it, Perry, right? And I was raising a fuss over this thing. It was late at night, and I'd called for adjournment a couple times, and I thought I was wearing them down. I wasn't sure. The leader came marching up the aisle at me, and he said, don't you call for adjournment one more time. Now, I'd already had it out with the leader, and it was late, and other people had called for adjournment, and so I didn't call for adjournment one more time. I did not. I've already called for it like 3 times, and we had a vote, and everybody was mad at me already, and so on and so forth. And shortly thereafter, that bill passed, and the session was closed, and I thought to myself, I just lost my opportunity to change our Commonwealth, to change the world for the better. I lost it. I let it go because a guy came up to me and said, don't do it. And I think about that every day when people in Washington, D.C. say to me, don't do it. Don't do it, Perry. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm doing it. I'm going to do it. People are coming to you, and they're coming to me, and they're saying, what can we do? You're frustrated, you're angry, what can we do? The left they're always coming, and they have the media behind them. We have to be stronger and louder than them, constantly, constantly. Go and see your elected officials. Be on this position. Why aren't you on this position? Why are you taking this position? And be on them. That's our job, is to represent. We don't know what you want, or we can claim we don't know what you want if you don't tell us. Tell us over and over and over again and be loud. And, look, I got a primary challenge already. Bring it, okay? And if we're not doing our job, it's time to move us on. We need warriors, and we need people to fight, and this is a tough race, and it's long, and you get tired. There's no time to be tired. There is no time for this country left to be tired. Critical race theory is here. They're destroying our economy. They're destroying our energy sector. They're going to do this if we let them, and we cannot let them, and you must be vocal. You must be heard one way or the other. Do not give up. The future is bright. I will tell you, all across the state, and I've seen some, there are groups that are forming. They're scared to tell their neighbors that they're going to this group, scared to tell somebody they're a conservative, but they're all getting together. I've never seen that before. And when they're all together, they feel emboldened, and they should, because they're powerful. They're powerful. So do not be discouraged, but do not shrink back from this. You've got to wade right into them. You've got to wade right into them, and you have to recognize them for who they are. They are not the loyal opposition. They are the opposition to everything you love and believe in and are hopeful for the future. Go fight them. God bless you.
Congressman Scott Perry, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you will just keep your seats for one moment, I'll give you a few housekeeping things. First of all, I was the first one to announce today that Jeff Bartos is running for governor. He's running for Senate, by the way. So my village is calling this idiot back home right after this. But anyway, Jeff is running for Senate. So again, if you go vote for him for governor, you'll have voted for the wrong thing. So don't do that, all right? It happens, believe me. Don't ever turn 70. It's what happens to you. Anyway, let's see. People who have the pre-dinner reception tickets with Jesse Waters, you're going to go from here across to the restaurant over out of this room and just go directly across. You'll go in there, and that's going to be happening. We're going to ask you, when you get done here in a moment, to get up and leave here quickly. If you have conversations, just take them outside, because they've got to reset the whole room right now for the Liberty Dinner at 6:30. There's also, and this is a place you can go to right away, they're going to have little candidates forum outside. So candidates running for various offices. You saw Jeff Bartos here, not governor, but senator, hopefully Jeff Bartos, will be out there along with a bunch of other people too who wanted to get a little time to talk with you. So a good time to get out there and meet them, get some feeling about them, and that will be right out under the tents, right out in front of the hotel lobby here. And don't forget that you're back here for the Liberty Dinner at 6:30, and then you get my friend R.J. Harris tonight as an MC from WHP 580. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. Thank you for being such a great audience, and have a wonderful evening. Take care now.